King Zarlan would soon learn not to laugh at the humans and regret underestimating their strength. But for now his cruel, arrogant laughter echoed through the grand throne room of the Vorkarian palace ship. The reptilian alien king lounged on his golden hover throne, reading reports from his commanders on the progress of their galactic conquest. Admiral Krodax, a battle-scarred Vorkarian warrior, stood before the king. "Sire, we have encountered a new species, humans. They refuse to surrender." Zarlan scoffed. "Ha! Humans? Weak primitives. Send a fleet to their planet, make an example of them, exterminate the resistors and enslave the rest." "But my king," Krodax hesitated, "they may be stronger than they appear." "You doubt me, Admiral? You doubt the might of the Vorkarian Empire?" Zarlan's eyes glowed with anger. "No, sire, I will dispatch the fleet at once." Krodax saluted and hurried from the throne room. Zarlan smirked, imagining the pathetic humans crushed under his armies. Little did he know the humans would not submit so easily. They would fight tooth and nail to defend their home, and Zarlan would soon learn the true power of human will. Admiral Krodax's fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the human solar system. The reptilian commander stood on the bridge of his dreadnought, staring at the blue-green world on the view screen. Earth, the human homeworld. It would soon belong to the Vorkarian Empire. "All ships commence orbital bombardment," Krodax hissed. "Target their cities, cripple their defenses." A barrage of plasma bolts and fusion missiles rained down on Earth's surface. Explosions blossomed across the planet, burning craters into the landscape. Skyscrapers toppled, forests ignited, and oceans boiled under the onslaught. But as quickly as the attack began, the humans retaliated. Streaks of light lanced up from the surface, slamming into the Vorkarian ships. The humans' orbital defense platforms opened fire, pelting the fleet with high-velocity railgun rounds and tactical nukes. Krodax's eyes widened as a cruiser to his left detonated, torn apart by a salvo of anti-ship missiles. "Impossible," he growled. "Their technology, it's more advanced than we anticipated." On the surface, General Marcus Reeves stood in the command center, watching feeds of the battle above. The grizzled soldier clenched his jaw as another Vorkarian volley struck, leveling a city. But he didn't have time to grieve. He had a planet to defend. "Scramble our fighters," Reeves ordered, "and get our ground batteries online. I want those lizards driven from our skies." Squadrons of human strike craft surged from hidden bunkers, screaming towards the enemy fleet. They wove between the lumbering Vorkarian ships, peppering them with laser fire and fusion bombs. The pilots were some of the best Earth had to offer, veterans of countless simulated battles against alien threats. In the rubble of ruined cities, human soldiers and militias took up arms. They fought street by street, building by building, refusing to yield an inch of their home to the invaders. Reeves' troops deployed EMP cannons and portable railguns, weapons designed to exploit the weaknesses in Vorkarian shields and armor. Krodax snarled as another of his ships succumbed to the humans' onslaught. These primitives were putting up far more resistance than he had expected. Each loss only fueled his rage and determination to crush them utterly. On the ground, Reeves rallied his forces, his voice broadcast to every soldier and civilian defender. "I know you're scared. I know the odds seem insurmountable. But this is our home, this is humanity's cradle, and we will not let these alien bastards take it from us. Stand fast, fight hard, and never give up. We'll send these scaly sons of bitches back to the stars they crawled out from." A resounding cheer rose from the human defenders as they surged forward with renewed determination, ready to fight to the last man, woman, and child for the survival of their species. King Zarlan's eyes blazed with fury as he watched the battle unfold on the view screens. The humans were holding their own against the might of the Vorkarian fleet, their primitive ships darting around like annoying insects, stinging his warships with their pitiful weapons. "Enough of this," Zarlan roared, slamming his fist on the armrest of his throne. "Admiral Krodax, unleash the planet killer. I want that world reduced to ashes." Krodax's scales rippled with unease. The planet killer was a weapon of last resort, capable of obliterating an entire planet in a matter of minutes. Its use was not to be taken lightly. "Sire, are you certain?" Krodax asked hesitantly. "The planet killer will destroy everything, including any potential slaves or resources. Perhaps we should—" "You dare question me, Admiral?" Zalon hissed, his eyes narrowing to slits. "I gave you an order. Carry it out, or I'll find someone who will." Krodax swallowed hard, his loyalty and fear overriding his reservations. "Yes, my king, it will be done." As Krodax relayed the command to charge the planet killer, General Reeves and his team were already in motion. They had intercepted Zalon's transmission and knew they had little time to act. "Listen up," Reeves barked to his assembled strike team. "The Vulcarians are preparing to use a planet killer on Earth. We can't let that happen. We're going to infiltrate their flagship and take that weapon offline." Lieutenant Jack Harper, Reeves's trusted right-hand man, stepped forward. "How do we get on board, sir? Their security will be tight." Reeves grinned. "We'll use their own ships against them. We've captured a few of their shuttles. We'll disguise ourselves as Vulcarians and slip past their defenses." The strike team quickly donned Vulcarian armor and boarded the stolen shuttles. As they approached the massive Vulcarian flagship, Reeves's heart pounded in his chest. Everything depended on this mission. The shuttles docked without incident, the Vulcarian guards fooled by the team's disguises. But as soon as they stepped onto the ship, all hell broke loose. "Intruders!" a Vulcarian warrior hissed, spotting the humans through their ill-fitting armor. Reeves and his team sprang into action, firing their weapons at the Vulcarians. The narrow corridors of the ship became a chaotic battleground, filled with the sounds of gunfire and the stench of burning scales. "Push forward," Reeves shouted over the din of battle. "We have to reach the planet killer." Harper and the others formed a tight formation around Reeves, their weapons blazing as they cut a path through the Vulcarian defenders. The ship's security systems activated, filling the corridors with searing laser beams and deadly neurotoxin gas. The humans pushed on, their armor absorbing the worst of the damage. They fought with a desperate fury, knowing that the fate of their world hung in the balance. On the bridge, Krodax watched the progress of the planet killer's charging sequence. The weapon was almost ready to fire, its destructive power building with each passing second. Suddenly the bridge doors exploded inward, revealing Reeves and his team. The humans charged forward, their weapons spitting death. "Disable the planet killer," Reeves ordered, firing his rifle at the Vulcarian crew. Harper and the others raced to the weapons control console, their fingers flying over the alien controls as they tried to shut it down. Krodax drew his own weapon, a crackling energy blade, and lunged at Reeves. The two warriors clashed in a furious melee, their weapons sparking and hissing as they traded blows. The planet killer's energy levels reached critical mass, the weapon's core glowing with an ominous red light. Harper worked frantically, sweat pouring down his face as he tried to abort the firing sequence. Just as the planet killer was about to discharge, Harper slammed his fist down on the final control. The weapon powered down with a whine, its destructive energy dissipating harmlessly into space. Reeves and Krodax continued their duel, the human general's rifle against the Vulcarian admiral's energy blade. They fought back and forth across the bridge, neither giving ground. With a final burst of strength, Reeves disarmed Krodax, sending the Vulcarian's energy blade skittering across the floor. The human general stood over his fallen foe, his rifle aimed at Krodax's head. "It's over, Krodax," Reeves panted, his face streaked with sweat and grime. "Your planet killer is offline and your fleet is in chaos. Surrender now, and we can end this without further bloodshed." Krodax glared up at Reeves, his eyes burning with hatred and frustration. "You think this is the end, human? You have no idea what you've started. The Vulcarian Empire will never stop until your pathetic species is wiped from the galaxy." Reeves shook his head. "Don't you see the futility of this war? The destruction of Earth, the genocide of an entire species? It's madness. What purpose does it serve? Your people gain nothing from our annihilation." Krodax hesitated, a flicker of doubt crossing his reptilian features. "We conquer. It is our way. The strong dominate the weak. That is the natural order of the universe." "But it doesn't have to be," Reeves countered. "Strength comes in many forms: courage, compassion, the willingness to defend others. These are the qualities that define true power. Your empire may have advanced technology and vast armies, but it lacks the heart and spirit that drive humanity." Krodax remained silent, his gaze locked with Reeves'. For a moment the human thought he saw a glimmer of understanding in the Vorkarian's eyes. Suddenly the ship shuddered violently, alarms blaring throughout the bridge. Harper looked up from the control console, his face grim. "Sir, the flagship's reactor is going critical," he shouted over the chaos. "The sabotage must have triggered a cascade failure. We need to evacuate now." Reeves turned back to Krodax, extending his hand. "Come with us. You can still choose a different path." Krodax stared at Reeves's outstretched hand, torn between his ingrained loyalty and the realization that the human was offering him a chance at redemption. After a long moment, he reached out and grasped Reeves's hand, allowing the human to pull him to his feet. Together, Reeves, Krodax, and the rest of the strike team raced through the crumbling corridors of the flagship, dodging explosions and falling debris. They reached the hangar bay just as the ship began to break apart, leaping into the nearest shuttle and rocketing away from the doomed vessel. As they watched the Vorkarian flagship explode in a blinding flash of light, Reeves turned to Krodax. "This is just the beginning. We have a long road ahead of us, but perhaps this can be the first step towards peace between our peoples." Krodax nodded solemnly. "Perhaps, but it will not be an easy path. My people will not accept defeat graciously." "No, they won't," Reeves agreed. "But we'll face that challenge together. Humanity has shown that we're willing to fight for what we believe in, and we believe in the possibility of a better future for all species." The shuttle streaked back towards Earth, carrying with it the hope for a new era of understanding and cooperation between the stars. The battle was far from over, but for now, humanity had proven its strength and resilience in the face of an overwhelming enemy. The news of humanity's incredible victory over the Vorkarians spread like wildfire across the galaxy. Whispers turned to shouts as the story of the small, unassuming species that had defied the odds and defeated a galactic superpower inspired countless others. Enslaved worlds and oppressed races that had long suffered under the Vorkarian Empire's iron fist looked to Earth as a shining beacon of hope. Revolution brewed on 100 planets as the downtrodden masses took up arms against their Vorkarian overlords. The streets ran thick with the blood of the reptilian tyrants as long-suppressed fury boiled over into all-out rebellion. The Vorkarian garrisons, once thought unassailable, found themselves besieged on all sides by the very people they had subjugated for so long. Back on the Vorkarian homeworld, King Zalon seethed with rage as reports of the uprisings flooded in. His advisors urged caution, begging him to consolidate their remaining forces and crush the rebellions one by one. But Zalon would have none of it. His pride had been wounded, his empire humiliated by the humans. This insult could not stand. "Gather the fleet," Zalon hissed, his eyes burning with malice. "Every last ship, every soldier. We will crush the humans and their pathetic allies once and for all. I will personally oversee their extermination." As the Vorkarian armada mobilized, the humans were not idle. General Reeves knew that this was just the beginning, that Zalon would not let such a defeat go unanswered. Earth needed allies if it was to survive the coming storm. Reeves reached out to the Galactic Resistance, a loose network of freedom fighters and rebel cells united in their opposition to Vorkarian rule. He spoke to them of courage, of the power of unity in the face of tyranny, and they answered his call. Ships and soldiers from a dozen worlds flocked to Earth's banner. Former slaves and resistance fighters stood side by side with human warriors, united by a common cause. Among them was a familiar face, Krodax, the former Vorkarian admiral who had seen the error of his ways and now fought for the very people he had once sought to destroy. As Zalon's fleet approached Earth, they found themselves facing not just the human defenders, but a vast armada of ships from across the galaxy. At the forefront of this allied fleet stood the human vessels, their hulls scarred from countless battles, but still unbowed. On the bridge of his flagship, General Reeves stood tall, his eyes fixed on the view screen, as the Vorkarian ships drew closer. At his side stood Captain Jack Harper, his trusted right hand and newly promoted second-in-command. "This is it, Jack," Reeves said quietly. "Everything we've fought for, everything we've lost, it all comes down to this." Harper nodded, his jaw set with grim determination. "We'll make them pay for every inch of space, sir. The Vorkarians will never set foot on Earth again." As the two fleets clashed, the void of space lit up with the fire of 1,000 suns. Lasers and missiles crisscrossed the void as ships on both sides were reduced to molten slag. The Allied forces fought with desperate courage, throwing themselves against the Vorkarian lines again and again. But even with their newfound allies, the humans were still outmatched by the sheer size of the Vorkarian fleet. Ship by ship, the Allied armada was whittled down, the gutted wrecks of once proud vessels spinning lifelessly through the void. Reeves knew that they could not win this battle through conventional means. They needed to strike at the heart of the Vorkarian command, to cut off the head of the snake, and that meant taking the fight to Zalon himself. "Harper, you're with me," Reeves barked, striding towards the hangar bay. "We're going to board Zalon's ship and put an end to this once and for all." Harper fell into step beside his commander, his face a mask of determination. Together they boarded a heavily armed shuttle, a hand-picked team of their best fighters at their back. Dodging and weaving through the chaos of the battle, the shuttle approached Zalon's massive battleship. Its hull was a bristling fortress of guns and armor, a floating citadel that dwarfed any other vessel on the field. But Reeves and his team were not deterred. With Harper at the controls, they slipped through the battleship's defenses, landing in one of its cavernous hangar bays. The moment the shuttle's ramp hit the deck, all hell broke loose. Vorkarian warriors swarmed from every direction, their weapons spitting fire as they sought to overwhelm the human boarders. Reeves and Harper fought side by side, their weapons blazing as they cut a path through the Vorkarian ranks. The air grew thick with the stench of blood and burning scales as the human strike team pushed deeper into the battleship, their every step contested by the elite of the Vorkarian military. But the humans would not be denied. With Harper leading the charge, they fought their way to the ship's central command, where Zalon himself awaited them. The Vorkarian king stood at the center of a vast chamber, his massive form encased in an ornate suit of powered armor. His eyes glowed with malevolent fire as he beheld the human intruders. "You dare to challenge me on my own ship?" Zalon roared, his voice dripping with contempt. "I will take great pleasure in crushing you beneath my heel, Reeves. You and all your kind will pay for your insolence." Reeves stepped forward, his rifle leveled at the Vorkarian king. "It's over, Zalon. Your empire is crumbling, your armies scattered. Surrender now, and your people may yet survive." Zalon threw back his head and laughed, a harsh grating sound that echoed through the chamber. "Surrender? To a lowly primate like you? I would sooner die than bow to your kind." With a roar of fury, Zalon charged forward, his armor-clad form moving with terrifying speed and power. Reeves barely had time to dodge aside as the Vorkarian king's massive fist slammed into the deck where he had been standing a moment before. As Reeves and Zalon locked in a deadly duel, Harper and the rest of the strike team fanned out across the command center. They fought with skill and precision, disabling the battleship's weapons and shields even as they held off the Vorkarian defenders. Back and forth across the chamber, Reeves and Zalon fought. The humans' agility and cunning matched against the Vorkarians' brute strength and advanced technology. Reeves ducked and weaved, his rifle barking as he sought to pierce the king's armor, while Zalon lashed out with crushing blows that would have shattered a tank. But for all his strength and fury, Zalon was still only one warrior, and Reeves had the skill and determination of a man fighting for the survival of his entire species. In a final desperate gambit, Reeves lunged forward, his rifle forgotten as he grappled with the Vorkarian king. The two leaders tumbled to the deck, locked in a deadly embrace as they sought to overcome one another. With a last titanic effort, Reeves wrenched Zalan's helmet from his head and brought the butt of his rifle down on the Vorkarian's skull with a sickening crunch. Zalan convulsed once, twice, and then lay still, his eyes staring sightlessly at the ceiling. Reeves staggered to his feet, his breath coming in ragged gasps as he surveyed the scene. Harper and the others had finished their work, the battleship's systems lying in ruins around them. And on the view screens, the Allied fleet was pressing their advantage. With Zalan's ship disabled and their king dead, the Vorkarian armada was falling into disarray, their lines crumbling as the human and alien ships tore into them with renewed ferocity. It was over. The Vorkarian Empire that had once seemed so unassailable, so eternal, was no more. In its place a new order would rise, one founded on the principles of freedom, justice, and unity. As Reeves and Harper stood side by side, watching the last of the Vorkarian ships flee into the void, they knew that their fight was far from over. There would be other challenges, other threats to face in the days and years to come. But for now, in this moment of triumph, they could rest easy in the knowledge that they had done their part, that they had stood against tyranny and oppression and had emerged victorious. And as the light of a new dawn broke over the earth, the galaxy looked to the future with hope and determination, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead as one united people. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.